Hello, I'm Lizelle Sambry and welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things writing, traditional publishing, and a little bit of reading. And this is the March vlog. I feel like this is my busiest month out of the whole year. Or at least it seems to be. Maybe things will change as I get down the line. But so far, I think this is my busiest month of the year. So I will be doing a bunch of stuff. So there's really just a lot of traveling. So I'm gonna be in Toronto to do an event at U of T, a book ball event. Then I'm going to be helping with a launch event, moderating, and then I'm going to be heading off to a teen book fest in Texas, and then I'm going to be traveling, going on a writing retreat with some friends in New Orleans. So lots of stuff going on in March. It's going to be a very packed week, very packed month, a lot of traveling. But what am I going to work on writing wise? So this month I'm going to be concentrating on doing my line edits for A Mastery of Monsters. This is my young adult dark academia fantasy that will be coming out in 2025. Yes, that is 2025 or what year is it now? 2024. In 2025 it's coming out. And that's a new series that I'm doing. So far it's 2 books. I'm hoping we'll be able to do 3, but I haven't gotten any sort of confirmation on that yet. So I am, focusing on doing line edits. I've already started those, which has been going well. I thought it was kind of gonna take me a little bit longer to go through it, but I'm actually like keeping up a good pace that I'm happy with, that is letting me really like, take my time at the line level and be able to really do a strong edit. I feel like that's what I was a little bit, feeling like I wanted to do in my last developmental edit that I did. I really wanted to focus on some more line level stuff, but I wasn't able to do both developmental stuff and line level stuff at that time, which makes sense because that's why I have a line edit, so I can do those things. And so I feel like I'm really getting to clean up the prose. It is much stronger than I thought it would be. I thought it was like a little bit more messy than it actually is. I'm actually very pleased with the prose, and so I'm not doing like a ton of stuff. But yeah, it's a good pace. I find that with line edits, like I could potentially do more per day, but the more I do per day, the more I find myself like skimming, because I know that like I have so many chapters to go through in a day. So I try and like give myself a very good amount. So I'm doing 4 chapters a day, which I think there's like 56 chapters, something like that. So it's kind of like a good, slow, steady pace that like is enough workload wise that I can really concentrate and feel like I'm getting a really good, strong edit, so that I know when I go into copy edits, I'm just going to be like flagging through the copy edit stuff. I can go through that probably in like a few days. Because I'm getting this really in-depth line level look at it now, which I'm really happy about. So that's what I'm going to be doing pretty much all month. I'm going to finish it like a week before March is over, and we'll see what I end up doing during that writing retreat week. So I have a few options of what I could be doing. So right now my agent has my adult thriller work in progress, so she gets edits back to me before the retreat. Then I will start working on that immediately. But if she doesn't, then I have a few options. Like if I've heard news about how many books are going to be in the Mastery of Monsters series, I might be able to start planning for the next books. So I might be able to start doing that. Or if neither of those things happen, then I might work on my novella project that I talked about. I'll link down below. I talked about in my video about writing projects, about wanting to do this novella. And so I might be able to work on that during that time, but we'll see. Right now, I'm unsure of what that's going to be. It's kind of up in the air. So I have that pretty much spread out for March. I'm also going to get my hair braided for the first time. This is the first time I've like had like a stranger braid my hair, like not like my mom. So I wanted to have box braids. I've just decided that I really can't be trusted to do that on my own. I have done it before, but it is so exhausting. It's so much work. I cannot stand it. I was like, I would rather just pay someone. So I'm going to be doing that. But yeah, that's pretty much what we've got going on in March. Going to be very heavy on working on these line edits. And so yeah, that's kind of what I've got going on for the month.
So comfortable, and no one seems to hold me like you do. You're so wonderful. A star could never shine as bright as you. Shine as bright as you. Even the dark days still see light. Even the birds still sing at night. Every word just comes out right when I'm with you, with you. I feel so lucky I met you, and I still can't believe that I get to see those eyes for more than tonight. Swear you must have fell from the sky, and I feel so lucky I met you. It's not logical, the way I feel when you walk in the room. When you walk in the room, it's not optional. How gravity just pulls me right to you, to you. Even the dark days still see light.
So I have some catch up to do with you. So last week I did that event in Toronto, the book ball, which was held at, I believe it's Trinity College at U of T. And I did that event with Sara Mughal Rana, who is the author of Hope Ablaze, and Leanne Toshko-Simpson, who is the author of Never Been Better. And it was moderated by Sidra. And so it was just like a fantastic event. I really, really appreciated getting to go and participate because I didn't do like a launch event or anything. And so I did that so that like I could have my personal private sort of launch, which I really enjoyed. And so it was nice then later getting to do a public event with them that included a signing and like meeting with readers and like having a conversation because it felt like it was, yeah, it was like a way to have my cake and eat it too. And I really do prefer doing events with other authors. It's nice for it to not feel like everyone's just staring only at me, that we're kind of like, you know, having a conversation. It's nice to get to hang out with those authors as well. Sara has been like part of our little like Toronto writers group for a while, from like a while back, and so we had like hung out and stuff before, but not really since the pandemic. So it was nice to be able to see her again too. Yeah, it was just like a good time all around, and like thank you to those of you that like came out and saw. I also was able to see some Author 2 friends, which was really cool. I'll link their channels down below. Chris MF and Rachel Wrights both came, which I so appreciated. And it was so lovely getting to see them. And so yeah, I'll link their channels down below so you can check them out if you haven't already. I feel like there's usually like when you're subscribed to like some Author Tubers, you end up subscribed to like others as well. It almost feels like default. But yeah, very exciting, and it was just like such a good event overall, so that was fantastic. So that's the like event updates. And then aside from that, I also today finished my line edits on A Mastery of Monsters, which I'm very excited about. And you know, it's funny because after I had sent in my last developmental edit, like when these line edits were coming in, I like talked about when I was doing my dev edit and that writing vlog of like really wanted to do line level stuff to really like, you know, enhance the prose because I felt like it was really lacking, and like I needed to do all this stuff at line level and I needed all this time to like fix it at line level. And then I got into the line edits and I was like, oh, it's good. Like I still like went through it with a very like fine-tooth comb. Like I was very detailed about these edits. But I felt like I was so worried about like feeling like it was lacking in some way, or like the prose wasn't good enough, or that I needed to do all this stuff. And like clearly a bunch of that was in my head, because when I was reading it I was like, oh, it's really good. Like I'm really happy with a lot of this. I felt that yeah, I was reading through it really carefully and slowly, but I was really happy with a lot of what was there, and I was just, you know, adding things here and there. And so I feel like I really thought that I was going to have to do all of this stuff to get it into the shape it needed to be. But I was actually, yeah, actually very good. I'm really pleased with this edit. I really love this story. I think there are always my usual insecurities that come up where I'm like, is the beginning too slow or is the book too long? And I feel like I'm really like working on letting go of all of that because it's just kind of the way that I write stories. Like I have put some action-packed things here in the beginning, but I find that I build up. That's what I do. I'm trying to build characters and world, and I really have to put in the work to do that in the beginning before I can like get into all the like bang 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 stuff. And I find that that's enjoyable. And there are lots of books where I find that enjoyable as well. And so I'm going to stop being hard on myself about those things. And the length, yes, it's long. It's the fantasy. There's a lot of world building. There's a lot of stuff happening. And I've also accepted that because I think the thing about length in my books is that I always personally feel that it is necessary and all the things that I've put in are meant to be there. It's not bloated. It is what is happening is what needs to be in the story. And so yeah, I just feel really good about it. I'm very excited about what I have put together. And now from here on, it's smooth sailing because I feel like I did everything I wanted to do. And so I feel like copy edits is gonna be a breeze, because it's just going to be, you know, the little grammar consistency things, but I'm not going to be, as I have sometimes in the past, doing line edits at the same time that doing my own line edits when I'm supposed to be doing copy edits. I really feel like I got the time to line edit when I was supposed to be line editing. So that's really great and exciting. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm now going to be taking the rest of this week off because in a couple days I'm going to be heading to Houston for Teen Book Con, and after that we'll be off to New Orleans for our little writing retreat. And my agent actually emailed me and she told me she's gonna have my edits for the couples retreat to me by the end of this week, which means I will be able to work on that during the writing retreat, which I'm very excited about because that is the project that I wanted to be working on. I really wanted to be able to jump right back into that after finishing a Mastery of Monsters edits. And so I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. As I mentioned last time I handed in the edits for the couples retreat, I suddenly hated and questioned everything I had done, but we're gonna fix things. And if these line edits have shown me anything, it's that I can be incredibly hard on myself when I don't need to be, and frequently find myself worried about stuff and then it comes up and I'm like, oh, actually it was fine. It's rare that I didn't worry about something and then I had to worry about it later. It's rare that that happens. And so I am sticking to that and remembering that as I go forward. Hello, I am back from all of the traveling that I've been doing. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna chat about everything that happened while I was away. And while I'm doing that, I will put some videos and photos on the screen to go along with everything that I'm sharing / recapping with you. To start with Teen Book Con, which happened in Houston, Texas. So I did come in like a day early or a night early really, which was cool because then I had kind of the Friday to myself to do what have you, which I didn't do that much. I mostly just kind of hung around. So I did that, and then in the evening we had the author reception, which was hosted at Blue Willow Books, which was so amazing, and I got to sign their author wall, which was really cool, and just kind of hang out a little bit with the other authors that were going to be participating in the festival, which was really fun. So many people that I like knew from online but hadn't actually gotten to meet in person yet, and so it was really cool to meet them all in person and to get to hang out and just kind of chit chat. And then we also heard from the bookstore owner and the organizers of the event, kind of like how everything was going to be going down the next day. And they were just wonderful. This was such a well-organized convention, or conference rather. Conference? Convention? I'm not really sure. BookCon. So yeah, conference, convention. Anyway, it was so well organized, and I really appreciated all the efforts of everyone. It was just like fantastic. And so on the day of Saturday, when we got in, they had like this kind of like author area set up in the library, and it was just like fantastic. Like they had all these like nice goodies for us. Like they had a shirt and they had like cupcakes with our book titles on them, and a copy of our book in case we needed it for readings. I had already brought a copy, but yeah, so a copy for readings and that sort of thing that we could like give away later. And then we went on to the keynote, which was done by Tahereh Mafi and Melissa Albert, who were wonderful, and so that was fantastic. So we got to attend that keynote, and then we were off to our panels. So the way these panels worked is that they like had like themes, but it was really about like the teens being able to just ask us whatever questions they had, which was really cool. And they had like such like varied questions. Like there were some, you know, people that I could tell like wanted to write or were writing and, you know, are writers and wanted to learn more about craft, and then there were some that were more interested in like the process of our writing or like things about you know, very like reader questions, that sort of thing. But a big like difference in sort of questions, even though every panel was really just open with different authors. It was also cool to be on panels with different sorts of authors, because I find that usually when I go to a conference, I'm like on maybe one, maybe two panels, and they're like they're very themed. And so I end up with people that are writing something very similar to what I'm writing. But in a couple of the panels, I was with people that were writing things that were very different. Like one panel, I was with a graphic novelist, and then an author that was writing a contemporary story, and another one that was writing like a contemporary like memoir sort of story. And it was really cool to like hear our different answers to questions from those different perspectives. And so yeah, we did, I think like 4 panels. They all just like feel like they flew by, but they were all just like really fun, and it really I really appreciated getting to connect with the audience that I'm writing for, because sometimes I find that I am, you know, I'm connecting a lot with adults, which is wonderful, and I'm so grateful for the adults that read my YA work, which is all I have currently, and a little middle grade He-Man, so I really appreciate them. But I write for teens, and so it was really exciting to get to connect with them and like hear you know, their thoughts and the questions and the things they were interested in. I also had a teen buddy who like was helping guide me through the con, who I appreciated so much. I don't know that she watches my videos, but Alana, if you're watching, thank you so much. You were fantastic. And so that was really nice too. I like felt like I was a little duckling. Like I fully, at one point, just relying on her. Like I have no idea where I'm going or what I'm doing, but she's gonna show up and wrangle me to where I need to go. So that was great. And she had read in the book too. She had like started reading it, so that was really exciting too. And signed a bunch of books, and then when we did our signing lines, it was just kind of doing the personalizations, which worked out really well. And that was fantastic. Just like really great to, you know, chat with readers who are really excited about the books. Also like 2 readers came and gave me like little bracelets, which was so cute. I also got a bracelet at the Toronto event from a reader, which was really sweet. Like I didn't expect that stuff, so it was really just nice. And I just had like such a fantastic time. It was a really good conference, and it was just kind of like on both sides fantastic. It was great to connect with like so many authors that I really like, you know, I like and I follow on social media, and I appreciate their work. It was so cool to connect with them, and then also the teen readers, and so that was really fantastic. It was just like a great time overall. And then it was off to New Orleans for our writing retreat. So I went on the writing retreat with You Will See, but all of my AuthorTube friends, and this time we did like a couples trip. So all of us and our partners, and so I was there with Lainey from Ginger Reads Lainey, or Lainey Kress. I can't remember if she changed her channel name. And then Laura from Laura Writes, and Lindsay from Lindsay Puckett, and that's all, yes. And unfortunately Kevin couldn't come, from Kevin Wrights, I believe is his channel, because if he could he would have been there, but another time. So all of us went there, and it was like for us to do our writing, and then our partners could kind of do whatever, and then the evening when we were done writing we could all like go out and like sightsee or do different things or things like that, or swap it around, sometimes going to places during the day and then like doing writing later on in the evening, that sort of thing. So I came in on Saturday night, so I was a bit of a day early, and then we were able to check in on Sunday into the actual like place itself. I'm sorry I don't think I got a lot of footage of the actual house itself, but it was really, really pretty. The Wi-Fi was very bad, but otherwise very, very pretty, and very nice, and it was really, really comfortable, so that was great. It was also in a really cool neighborhood. It was called Bywater, but it like had like this sort of like cool local but like hipstery sort of vibe, and so that was fun because we got to go to like a lot of places locally, or like me and my partner went to like some of the local restaurants and stuff and walked around. And then of course we all separately and together went to the French Quarter a lot, which that was pretty much all I kind of knew about New Orleans. I feel like I knew a bunch of like bits and pieces about it, but not a ton. So that was really cool. Went down to the French Quarter a bunch of times. We did go to Bourbon Street. Originally, I wasn't really planning to because I heard it was like really dirty and like grimy and like not really worth it. But I didn't realize that it's in the French Quarter, and so since we were already there in the evening a few times, we just happened to end up like floating in and around it. And it actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I didn't think it was that dirty. It was just like a lot of people and like loud, but to me it wasn't really, I guess not that much different to like, you know, if you go to downtown Toronto at like a busy time, it's like the same sort of thing, except of course in New Orleans you can have open alcohol, so everybody's walking around with a drink, which is very different because you cannot do that in Canada. But yeah, it was really cool. I just, it really had like that historical feel to it, which I really liked and appreciated. It was so cool getting to see all the different buildings, and we did end up doing a vampire tour, which I liked. It was really cool because it was very much kind of like, could this be vampires or could it not, which I liked. I liked that a little bit more than like being like, this was definitely vampires, which I think I would have been like, okay buddy. But because it was, you know, phrased as like, could it be, could it not be, I like that. And learning some historical things about the area as well, which I appreciated. I did not go on a ghost tour because I was warned away by friends who had said that like stuff can follow you home, and I just like, I am a somewhat superstitious person, but on the top of my list is no contact with ghosts. I have no interest in any ghost contact. So I was just like, yeah, no, I'm gonna just skip that. And so I did the vampire one, which was good. There were no ghosts involved, which I appreciated. But yeah, what I'm trying to think about the other like New Orleans type things that we did. Just a lot of walking around and like going into the different shops. We did get beignets from Cafe Du Monde. I didn't think they were good. I'm sorry to say I didn't think they were good. They were undercooked, so I didn't think they were good. But I did have the frozen cafe au lait, which I thought was amazing. And then I realized halfway through drinking it why I liked it so much, and it was because it tastes exactly like an ice cap. Exactly like an ice cap from Tim Hortons. It tastes the same. And so I realized that's why I really liked it, because I haven't had an ice cap in like ages. And yeah, but that was really good. We also went to like a really good barbecue place in Bywater, which was really cool. That was awesome. Lots and lots of good food, lots of seafood, which is hilarious because I'm actually allergic to fish. So I'm allergic to fin fish, you call them, because they have fins. I'm like doing the motion for you, but I can eat fish with shells, but it's always a little bit dicey because if they mix up the fin fish with the shellfish and there's a lot of cross-contamination, I will have reactions, and it is anaphylactic. Like, I do carry an EpiPen, so it was a little bit dicey. And many points I was like, I could have my throat closed, but it's the sort of reaction where I have like some time after I've accidentally eaten something that I'm allergic to. Like usually I can feel it in my throat and I just stop eating and the reaction recedes and everything is fine. So it's actually not that serious. Like I would have to have full anaphylaxis, I would really have to sit and eat something even as I felt myself having a reaction and continue eating it, which of course I wouldn't do. So I was good. I got to have crawfish for the first time, which I thought were really, really good. Like they do, like it's supposed to be like, you know, like poor people lobster, quote unquote. And it does taste like lobster. It was really good. I really liked it. We bought like one of those like giant bags full of it, and ate a bunch of those. And I thought they were really good. And apparently where I live, you can fish for them. So now my partner is very invested. He really wants to go and fish for a bunch so we can make them at home. And honestly, I'm also invested in it because they were really good. And usually he fishes for finfish, which I can't eat. So I'm excited about the idea of fishing for, you know, crawfish, which I can't eat. And I really enjoyed. So that was really good. And that was kind of like all the like food, New Orleans sort of tourist things. And now the writing, because I'm sure that's what you care about because you were here. So on this writing retreat, I did work on the couples retreat. I got notes back from my agent, and I basically went through all of those. And at first I felt a little bit overwhelmed because in her email, she was like, I feel like we're nearly there and here are all my comments. And I was looking through all the comments and I was like, this feels like I need to rewrite it. I was like, how are we nearly there? And then I calmed down and I collected myself and I read through everything again and started making note of the changes and the actual things I had to do. And I realized, okay, I actually don't need to do as much as I thought I did. And I totally understand now why she's saying we're nearly there, because I can see how after I do all of these things, at the end, we would probably be done doing developmental edits. Like at that point, we're just kind of tweaking some other things. And so they were not as large edits as I thought they were. I certainly did not need to rewrite anything. And the bulk of the work was going to be happening in the beginning of the novel. And so a comment that my agent had made previously and kind of continued through to here was that the beginning felt a little bit slower and it felt like it didn't quite have enough forward momentum. So there are some things that happened in the beginning that I felt were enough to kind of push the reader through, and she was kind of like, I feel like we need something a little bit more like juicy to like really get people to pull themselves through. And so something she had suggested for this was a cold open, or like a sort of beginning chapter. So in the beginning, I've done this in my horror novels before, but for thrillers, you will often see like people put some sort of scene at the beginning that kind of happens later on in the book, that's like, you know, very actiony or like very intriguing or like brings up a lot of questions for the reader, to kind of like push them through with the rest of the narrative, such that when you start the novel, because the reader has like read that cold open, they have a bunch of questions about things already, and they're already, as they read, kind of seeking answers to those things, as opposed to not having that cold open. The reader is just kind of reading blank slate from there, and they may not notice certain things as standing out because they haven't kind of had that happen. So for example, in the cold open, because I did end up doing that, it's really, really short. It's only like 2 pages. I don't know if it's going to expand later, but it's only 2 pages for now. And so what happens is that in that cold open beginning, you can tell that she's running from something. She mentions a few characters. And so that kind of that's not really all of it, but that kind of sets up, okay, something has like gone awry, which I think you already kind of expect, but this kind of gives you little clues about what might be going on. And because certain characters are mentioned also, then you're kind of looking out for those characters as you read forward. And so I felt that was really good. So I started with that. And then what I ended up adding is I also changed the catalyst. So originally, the catalyst for this story is that they went to the resort, and so they're there to fix their relationship and to repair it. That's why they're going to the couples retreat. That's usually what those things are for, so it makes sense. And before I had the catalyst being basically that he had proposed an ultimatum. And so this was going to be like 100%, if this doesn't work, it's over. We're not trying again. We're not going back and forth. This is the ultimatum. And I made that the catalyst. And I realized upon thinking about it that it wasn't a very good catalyst. And so the reason I realized it wasn't a good catalyst is because the point of like the catalyst, which is like a term from many things, but I'm using it for Save the Cat. And the thing about that is that the catalyst is supposed to basically force the main character into kind of entering a new world, or like force them out of the state they're in to change and to twist and to start bringing them towards that, you know, realization of going from what I want to what I need. And I just realized that this catalyst wasn't really doing that. I think I thought it was, but at the end of the day, when she came into that resort, she was going to try to fix her relationship. And so being told that it was going to end if she didn't fix it, like it didn't change her actions. She was like, okay, I'm still going to try to fix the relationship. And so I realized it wasn't a very good catalyst. So I now changed the catalyst to something that I think creates a lot more intrigue, and to something that really, I don't know that it necessarily like really dramatically changes her actions, but it plants that seed of, is this what you really want, to start getting the character to think about what she needs. And so there is, to me, definitely with that new catalyst, a shift in the character's thinking that is going to affect everything going forward. And so they can't operate the way they might have operated in the Act 1 world, because now they have this information. And so that makes everything going into the Act 2 world different, because they have that information. And so that's why I made that change to the catalyst. And I also think that this thing that happens also creates a lot more forward momentum in the story, because it automatically sets up something that's a little bit like danger flags for the reader. And so I've decided to do that, and I think that helped a lot. So those are all things that I worked on during the retreat. It was helpful because I got to like chat with my friends about the things I was thinking about and like what I was planning to do, because it just made it so much easier to really think it through and to really kind of like bounce ideas off of someone, and be able to just do it right there while I'm working on it, which is like you know, one of the like really great things about writing retreats and that sort of thing. So I'm very excited with the progress I made on my story. I feel like I have a very solid beginning, like a very solid first act now, which I've edited the whole first act. I believe the whole first act. Yes, I've edited the whole first act now at that point. Doing all of that changing and switching and like thinking through. And so I'm really excited about moving forward with the rest of my edits for the couples retreat, which I should be done in the next couple weeks. So I'm going to be working on that in April as well. And so yeah, I'm really pleased about how that all went down. Ooh, and I almost forgot to mention, while we were at the writing retreat, I got to see some cover stuff for A Mastery of Monsters. I think we're pretty well finalized, or like almost finalized, but I got to see I had like an option of choices, so I got to poll the room and poll everyone and see what everyone else thought as well, because we were all already there in person, and I'm very, very excited. Yeah, I cannot wait to share this cover. I think it is very different from my other covers, but very like good. Like I'm very pleased with it. I think it looks really good. I think it's very eye-catching, and so I'm excited to share it with you all whenever I will get to share it. But yeah, so that was the traveling, the writing retreat. This was very much my travel heavy month. I'm glad traveling is lots of fun, but I'm also glad to be home and to be staying put for a little while, so I can kind of sink back into my daily routine, which I appreciate being able to do, because I am at the heart of me a homebody, and I like being home and I like being in my space. But it was a lot of fun. Yeah, just fantastic time all around. And so next month in April, technically today is April 1st, so I'm already breaching a little bit. But in April, so far, my plans are I'm going to be working on the couples retreat, working on finishing this edit I have with my agent. I am hoping I will get it done kind of mid-May. I did end up sending a draft to another beta reader just to get some initial, just to get some like general thoughts from someone, because all my other readers read a much earlier version of the book and now I've changed a lot of the twists and stuff. And so I wanted to hear from someone who hadn't read all of them before. And that reader's going to get back to me kind of end of April. So I should have both their comments and my agent's next round of comments around the same time to get working on the next draft, possibly in May. And then otherwise in April, I'm not really sure what else I'm going to be getting. I'm not sure if my A Mastery of Monsters copy edits will be coming in then, or if they're going to be coming in the next month. And I'm still a little bit up in the air about what I'm going to be doing with the sequels. So I can't kind of get started on that either. So I'm just going to be focusing on the couples retreat for now. So I'm excited about that, and that will be the next vlog. But otherwise, I think that is it. And if you like this, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!
Even the birds still sing at night. Every word just comes out right when I'm with you, with you. I feel so lucky I met you, and I still